we're starting off with AEW, as yesterday we reported on a lengthy list of new rules, which has resulted in some spots being banned, including chair shots to the head as well as buckle bombs. Some spots will still be allowed as long as AEW talent seek permission from the proper authorities backstage, but it's not just the safety of talent that has led to this change. While the banning of chair shots and buckle bombs is indeed for safety, Dave Meltzer reports in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that some of the changes are for creative reasons. The reasoning is that if talent have to request permission, then higher-ups can keep track of who's done a spot and when, in order to avoid a particular segment being used too often. The report also reiterated claims by talent that changes aren't expected to be noticeable for the most part on TV, and anyone who does breach these rules will likely face minor fines. In an update from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, it was revealed that several AEW stars didn't know about the new rules until the initial report dropped for fans to read online. It's therefore unclear as to when and how exactly talent were informed about the list, as many only learned about possible changes to their future in the ring when they saw news reports about it. Several AEW stars are said to be unhappy with the changes, believing it's an overreach by management, but what do you think of the rules? Sound off in the comments. At New Japan's Resurgence event, Mercedes Mone was set to become the first NJPW Strong Women's Champion until a sudden injury forced plans to change. Realizing she wouldn't be able to defend the title, Mone called an audible which resulted in Willow Nightingale winning, but what's next for the former Sasha Banks? In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it is reported that the plan is for Mone to face Julia, who captured the Strong Women's Championship earlier this month. This feud won't start until Mone is cleared to wrestle. After a rocky start in early 2022, the Judgment Day have cemented themselves as a hit on Monday Night Raw, with the quartet often being used in the main event picture. After dominating on Raw, the Judgment Day showed up on this week's episode of NXT, and fans can expect to see more of them on the Gold brand. That's if NXT head Shawn Michaels is to be believed, as when speaking to WrestleBinge this week, HBK said he was thrilled to have the faction on the show. Michaels also highlighted Dominic's upcoming NXT North American title match against Wes Lee, and if victorious, it's clear that the group will stick around with Mysterio as champion. The match next week will mark Dominic's second ever time competing in NXT, and his first time as a heel, as well as his first singles title opportunity since becoming a WWE superstar 3 years ago. Whether Dirty Dom becomes the next North American champion, time will tell, but Michaels is clearly happy to have the Judgment Day around for as long as he can. LA Knight is one of the most popular WWE superstars in the company today, but long before he was tearing it up on TV, Knight was making his name in various promotions. Knight has plenty of charisma, which has helped him do no end on WWE TV, and recently, an old gimmick of the former Eli Drake has come to light. In a video shared on social media, Knight portrayed a Donald Trump-inspired wrestler named El Hijo de Trump in a Lucha Libre promotion, complete with a blonde wig of the former president. Much like the 45th president of the US himself, Knight evoked a lot of reactions with the character, and it goes to show the talent of Knight to pull off this persona. Ever since Solo Sikoa arrived in WWE, the enforcer of the bloodline has been an intimidating force and is always ready to let his fists do the talking. Sikoa rarely speaks on TV, and when he does, his words have meaning, but fans were able to see a much different side to the former North American champion this week. In a video initially shared on the video platform Triller, a young Sikoa can be seen grooving to Flo-Rida's hit My House, showing a fun-loving attitude we've never seen on WWE TV. Perhaps this video could even work its way to WWE programming, possibly as the Usos attempt to embarrass Sikoa as part of their issues with Solo and Roman Reigns. Little is known about Sikoa outside of WWE, though we do know that he recently tied the knot with his now wife, and for all his seriousness, Solo knows how to bust a move, especially when Flo-Rida is on. It's been over 6 months since Mandy Rose was released from WWE, and in that time, the former NXT Women's Champion hasn't competed anywhere else. Thanks to her lucrative website, it's not like Rose needs to ever wrestle again, and now the Toxic Attraction alum is making a fortune online in a different way. On eBay, Rose is auctioning off some of her ring-worn gear, and with over 4 days left on the auction, the bidding has already reached $30,000. Rose recently said that she doesn't consider herself retired, but also isn't sure about her future in the ring, but if she does wrestle again, this attire won't be part of her wardrobe going forward. It wasn't long after his impressive showing at Backlash that news broke that Carlito had re-signed with WWE, which is why he has had to pull out of multiple appearances for indie promotions. Many expected Carlito to return to TV on last week's SmackDown, given that it took place inside Madison Square Garden, but as we all saw, that didn't transpire in the world's most famous arena. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it was explained that Carlito didn't appear in MSG due to time constraints, as the show had a packed schedule, including a 40-minute segment with the Bloodline. As a result, some segments had to be cut, including Carlito's anticipated return, but the belief now is that he will be brought back to TV when the time is right. In previous years, it had been suggested that Carlito would one day return to WWE in a backstage role, but with how well he performed at Backlash, WWE is now eager to have him on TV. WWE officials were said to have been impressed with how mature Carlito was at Backlash, which will only help him out, and while MSG wasn't the location, the former US champion is coming to TV. When WWE began its decade-long deal with Saudi Arabia in 2018, the agreement was met with backlash, and many criticized the promotion for the arrangement. 2 years ago, WWE settled a $37 million lawsuit with investors for hiding details about the deal, stemming from the travel delays that took place after Crown Jewel 2019. WWE claimed that those delays were due to a maintenance issue, but many believe it was because of grievances with the Saudi authority, but that was only part of the story. Dave Meltzer reports this week that when WWE settled this lawsuit, they worked hard to keep certain secrets from coming out, including some about superstars at the time. While WWE sent the Wrestling Observer multiple statements denying these secrets, Meltzer said that he heard from a dozen people at the time, all corroborating the same claims. According to employees, the situation was described as a potential hostage situation that was sparked by Vince McMahon cutting the feed to Crown Jewel for Saudi audiences at home, which itself was a response for Saudi Arabia being late to pay WWE for past events. Meltzer also pointed out that the $37 million settlement to investors is the most WWE's ever paid in a settlement and one of the fastest settlements in company history, so WWE did not want any of these secrets getting out. Ultimately, WWE's deal with Saudi Arabia survived this falling out and is now WWE's top yearly earner, but these issues continue to haunt the company all these years later. And we're ending with Matt Cardona, who since his WWE release has made a name for himself on the indies and recently took inspiration from one of the all-time greats. During his entrance at GCW Now and Forever, Cardona made his way to the ring as the Rider-Taker, a nod to the Undertaker, and had the right theme song, hat, and cloak to complete the look. Ryder's ally Steph DeLander even walked by his side carrying an urn that wouldn't look out of place in the hands of the late Paul Bearer, as the indie god is clearly a huge fan of the iconic Man in Black.